Good morning, it's the 14th of March. Weather's very, very changeable. I'm on May Street, opposite John Ross and Company, the auctioneers. May Street Presbyterian Church as was, it's just up on the left there, and we're at the back of the City Hall. Hi there. And this is Joy Street, and it's part of what you would refer to as the markets. We're close to St George's Markets here, or St George's Market, but this has been redesignated as being part of the Linen Quarter. And there's something interesting on Joy Street. Where does Joy Street actually get its name? Well, Joy Street gets its name after the Joy family. Joy family lived here back in the 1700s, and they were newspaper people. They owned a paper mill at the corner of Cromac Street and Ormeau Road, and they were responsible. Francis Joy in 1737 established the newsletter, Belfast newsletter, the longest running English speaking newspaper in the world, and it's still operating. And you might notice something significant about these particular houses. These are Georgian houses, and if you go down to Dublin, you'll see an awful lot of examples of Georgian houses, but you won't find anywhere near the same amount in Belfast. In fact, they're a rarity up here, which is rather disappointing. These Georgian houses, of course, took their name from the four kings named George, and they reigned between 1714 and 1830. So any houses resembling this that were built through this period, they are known as Georgian houses. And these ones over here are particularly good examples. Number 14 to number 26 are the ones we really want to look at. They're three-storey. Fine looking houses still. They're three-storey and they're dark red brick. And their doorways are ornamental panelled pilasters to give the impression of a column. Let's see what it says here. This is little May Street beside us. Yeah, historic buildings, 1834, restored in 1983. I just can't quite read that, but I'm going to take it in. What does it say? Can't read it. So what else can I tell you about these houses? Yeah, you've got the semicircular fan light here, which is very distinctive, and some of these houses are sort of motifs up at the top. And then, you know, interestingly, you've got these boot scrapers, all retained as well. you know, we're harking back in time here, and I was talking to a gentleman who lives in one of these houses, Joe, and a decent fella. I would say these houses are worth a drop of money. And they look really, really good. And there's another cluster around the corner here. So this is Joy Street, and it's, you know, it speaks of the past. And here's something that you didn't know. See the blue, the house with the blue door there? That's number 24. Well, I must mention the astragal glazing bars in these windows to give the effect of smaller window panes. And apparently, there's the beaded chimney pots as well. Yeah, there's a very interesting person used to reside in number 24, and I'll come to that in a wee minute. In the 1840s, these were wealthy merchants, and they had gardens and all the rest of it. I don't know whether they still have the gardens today, but the wealthy merchants started to move out in the you know, 1850s onwards, whenever Belfast was, you know, people were coming in from the countryside, and people were trying to escape from the famine. So there were a lot of poor people coming into Belfast, and all the rich people decided to take to their heels, and they headed up to the Malone Road and Stranmillis Road areas. 1950s onwards, we've got more students coming in because there was the opening of Queen's University, and in the 1870s and 80s, actors and musicians started to come because these houses gave great access to the theatres. You know, it was only a few hundred yards. The Empire and places like that. So, who lived at number 24? Well, it was actually Charlie Chaplin. You'll not believe that, but Charlie Chaplin lived here. And the rumour is, the myth is that he used to climb through one of these downstairs windows rather than use the front door because it would create less noise. And they were all crammed in together, sleeping 5 and 6 to a bed. He was 11 at that time, and we're talking about him performing in the Empire in 1900. And he was one of the 8 Lancashire lads. They were club dancers. And Charlie Chaplin was to return in 1907 when he was part of a circus act. In the 1900s, Joy Street was known as the Street of Three Ps: pride, poverty and pianos. Why the pianos? Well, the pianos were, there was a piano reputedly in every front room of every house, because these houses were boarding houses, and the artists needed the piano in the front room to practice. And Charlie Chaplin's visits to Belfast are remembered down at Titanic, where there's a sort of a metal sculpture of him, and he's also remembered here. And there's a statue remembering Charlie Chaplin, and people don't know about it. In fact, it's on this street. and it's almost invisible because it's so small. And this building on the left hand side was Hamilton the architect, as far as I know. And there's Charlie Chaplin. Looking down. He's only about 12 inches. Let's see if I can get it a wee bit better. There we have this building, and I believe it was Hamilton's the architects actually put up this wee tribute statue. Yeah, there he is. Charlie Chaplin, remembered here on Joy Street. I think that's very quirky. And I'm still learning something about Belfast each and every day. And actually there's some nice sculptures actually on the side of this building as well. Probably people formerly associated with this Hamilton's the architect. Don't know. You come along and see this last remaining vestige of Georgian architecture. On Joy Street.